Big exciting news to start your Tuesday afternoon as the four corners, referring to Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, and Kevin McCarthy, are meeting right this minute at the time of this taping for a private negotiation on your second stimulus package. The details are all over the place, but in this recording I'm going to go over why a checkmate in the Senate may ultimately block whatever the four corners negotiate for stimulus. That checkmate is a major move by Josh Hawley and Bernie Sanders to ensure that a stimulus check goes out or nothing in the Senate passes, despite whatever happens in this negotiations in this room. It's all very complex, but all very exciting. Meantime, what's going on with that $2,400 of SSI and SSDI? What about multiple stimulus checks? And how about FPUC? If you tuned into Holidays LALATE, I think I broke an earthquake somewhere in the San Andreas Fault, because when I delivered the news that shocked viewers about what the bomb creators want to do with FPUC, oh my goodness, I could hear the China crashing in the China room. Meantime, what's going on across the board for state stimulus and stimulus checks? Very exciting news. Stimulus checks are going out right now. All breaking across the board. There's a lot of things happening today, and I expect more this afternoon, this evening. This is a major recording of Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Afternoons LALATE. I'm so glad you joined me on a day in which there's so much unfolding on your second stimulus check for Congress. Meantime, the second stimulus check for your state is coming out in some states and in some cities and counties as well. Then rent stimulus is still being gotten by those viewers, thousands and thousands of dollars. So I want to ensure that you subscribe to this channel. Please go to the Fuzz channel, subscribe, also hit the alert button. It's important that you understand that I'm giving viewers money right now, not 5 weeks from now, not 5 days from now, not 5 months from now. And every few hours I get a wonderful, kind message from a viewer that says, thank you, this volunteer helped get me $4,000 in rent stimulus, free rent. $5,000, $10,000. I'm seeing the memos and I'm seeing the letters from the people in the grant organizations or charity organizations that are giving them the money. It's absolutely so inspiring. So I want to ensure that you get all this money. I'm going to be covering this video, the federal stimulus check, the state stimulus checks, the county stimulus checks, and also the multiple stimulus checks. But I want to ensure that you get money right now, not 5 months from now and five years from now. So please subscribe. Also, like this video. In this video, I'll be going over what those four corners will be doing today, right now in a negotiation room. They are Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, and Kevin McCarthy. What are they negotiating on? And what are the deal items that are really shocking viewers? Meantime, this is really quite exciting, is that the president wants you to have a $1,200 to $2,000 stimulus check, may veto anything that comes across his table if it doesn't have it in there. Josh Hawley and Bernie Sanders have set up a checkmate move to block anything in the Senate, and hence anything landing on the president's table, unless there's a stimulus check involved. Also really exciting news. Meantime, why is the purple power becoming so powerful so quickly as the narrative is changing by the minute? I'll have all those details and more. It's all really exciting. It's all positive, and it's becoming really quite exciting. Now, with that, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here today is that Josh Hawley and Bernie Sanders have set up basically a chess move. It's a little bit complicated, but it's very exciting. If they do this, it's going to work. Let me explain to you how this chess move works. For anything to become a law, it has to go to the Senate after it's in the House, and then for the Senate to the president. Well, if it doesn't pass the Senate, it never gets to the president. It fails at step number 2. How do you ensure that something fails at step number 2? You vote against it. Okay, so you vote against something in the Senate. How else do you cause something to fail in the Senate? You don't cause it to come to a vote, or you ensure that everyone blocks it. Okay, so what's going on here, LLA? What's going on is Bernie Sanders and Josh Hawley have devised a ingenious plan in which they're going to use Josh Hawley's bill as a way to block anything that may come from this House. Nothing is in the House coming to the Senate just yet. But in the event that anything does, they're going to do this. They're going to use this bill, which is Josh's bill, and say, you know what? You're going to vote on our bill and pass our bill until you get to anything else that's less than for the House, or we're going to shut down the federal government and we're not going to vote in favor of this bill that came from the House. It's really exciting. Now, how does this work? Josh Hawley's bill is a $1,200 stimulus check bill, $1,200 for adults, $500 for children. Good. What's important to understand, also really great news, is that Bernie Sanders has since clarified through press, and I hope he stays on point, that the adult dependents would also get a $1,200 check. Everyone who's an adult would get a $1,200 check. All really great, clear news. Now, how does this devise? How does this formulate? When would it formulate? It wouldn't formulate just yet. That would be when there was a bill coming from the House landing in the Senate that does not potentially have a stimulus check in it. The event has not yet occurred yet, but this is how the checkmate move would work. If they do it, it works. It's as simple as that. So then what is happening in the House's move? That is the negotiations that are happening today. The negotiators in the room are different than negotiators than you've had over the last 7 months. You've heard negotiators was Steve Mnuchin and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Mark Meadows. You've heard Donald Trump and Nancy through intermediaries. You've heard problem creators and different people sort of stepping in. You've heard Mitt and all those people. That's not who's in this room. This is the four corners that refers to the four most important, most powerful people in Congress, meeting for the first time in a room since this pandemic started to formulate a stimulus negotiation. Now, the significance of this meeting is astronomical. It shows real shockingness. Now, the question is whether they do it more than one time. Do I think that a deal is going to be hatched in one meeting? I don't know. By the time of this recording, the time you're watching this recording, the results of that meeting may already be released to press. I'm recording this at the time they're in the actual room. Here's something that's very promising. Mitch McConnell has held up negotiations because of liability insurance, and Nancy Pelosi has held up negotiations because of staying local. The latest version from the problem creators has taken those two provisions out and said, you know what, we'll deal with them in January. And Mitch McConnell says, I like that. But the Democrats have not said whether they like that. Now, there are provisions in this problem creators bill which I absolutely think are horrible. And on Holidays Adelaide, I detailed to you, and you agreed as well, are horrible. What are they? It's FPUC. FPUC expired in late July. It expired in late July, and at the time it was expiring, Senator Harris, now VP-elect Harris, said on press, on MSNBC, she was shocked that anyone would allow FPUC to expire. She just thought it was horrible. Well, it expired, and no one has ever taken care of it. 30 weeks have passed. We have been told by Joe Biden in January he's going to do a massive bill that would do FPUC retroactive to late July. Okay, very good. So now what has happened in the last 24 hours? Suddenly, the last 24 hours, the problem creators have taken the issue of just doing FPUC maybe for 3 weeks, which I thought was a little bit problematic because it overlaps Joe Biden's period of time, to now say they're going to do FPUC for 4 months at $300 a week, and it's not going to be retroactive. Wait a second. We're not talking about a short-term fix for a few weeks. Now we're talking about 4 months. Horrible. Horrible. PUA and UI, they were supposed to just extend it for a few weeks into January. Now they're talking about 4 months of PUA and UI. There's nothing wrong about that, but where's the eviction moratorium? Where is the mortgage forbearance? Really still unclear. But the really great news across the board is that the proponents in favor of stimulus check are adamant that they're going to block anything that lands in the Senate. Bernie Sanders, Josh Hawley, Elizabeth Warren, AOC, made very clear they're not supporting what other Democrats in the House may want to do. The Democrats in the Senate make it very clear they're doing a stimulus check or else. The comments from Bernie Sanders today were repeated in form today as well. Bernie Sanders said yesterday, House Democrats passed a $3.4 trillion bill. You have Republicans in the administration talking about $1.8 trillion, and now you're down to $188 billion. Which does not include one nickel in stimulus checks for working families in this country. Totally unacceptable, and this has to be rejected. We cannot go home unless there are strong unemployment benefits plus $1,200 for adults, $500 for kid for every working family person and family in this country. Congress is not going to go home until we get that done. That's what America needs. Incredible, great news. Now, someone mentioned the same sort of comments today, just a little different words. Who was that? Shockingly, Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell, before the meeting of the four heads today, or the four corners, said, we're not going home. We're not going on Christmas break until a COVID relief bill is done. He did not say until a stimulus check goes out. What's ironic through these entire negotiations is that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have never endorsed a stimulus check. These are the people who had started with a stimulus check back in May and progressively watered it down. It was initially $1,200, and in the weeks that passed, it suddenly became $500. Whereas the Republicans, ironically, with Steve Mnuchin during the last weeks of the negotiations with Nancy Pelosi, was going higher. He was going from $1,200 to $2,000. Also problematic are the problem creators. They're the ones that had written multiple stimulus checks in their bill several weeks ago. Now they don't even have a single check in there, and they're fighting against any mention of a stimulus check. What do I think? I think Bernie and Josh's move is going to work. It's a strategic move that if they stay on point, it will work. Meantime, Joe Biden, what is he promising? He's promising you FPC retroactive for 30-something weeks at $600 a week, but that may be imploding if this provision that the problem creators want to have of $300 a week going forward with nothing retroactive actually becomes the pushing narrative of the Democrats. Joe Biden wants to also give you multiple stimulus checks, a check for every month of the pandemic that continues, and the pandemic's likely to continue all the way into June. Then, how about $2,400 of SSDI? When would that happen? Again, these people don't think that's a priority right now either. All they think is about priority for big business. So Joe wants to take care of the SSDI, Social Security and Railroad Benefit viewers, in January. Three things. You would get a standalone bill, presumably, with a $200 a month add-on to your existing benefits. That would amount to $2,400, or about $4,000 under the Elizabeth Warren plan through December of next year. Plus a new step-up. The new step-up would increase your benefits about up to 20% annually. One time, and that step-up would be lifetime. And then it would be tied to a new benchmark that would raise your benefits every year as the economy changes. Really exciting news. So as you sit here today, what is my state doing for me? And what is that state stimulus check? And what is that county stimulus check? And what are those other details? Well, state stimulus checks are being announced across the board. Some have already been released. Some are coming up. Some have restrictions to them. They're all sort of confusing, and they're all sort of different. Minnesota was to give a $500 stimulus check, but the negotiations for that apparently yesterday unraveled, and the legislature took out the $500 stimulus check. But Maine, $600 stimulus check, Colorado, $375, New Mexico, $1,200, Oregon, $500, North Carolina, $335, Houston, $1,200. Or Orange County, 1,000 is going live on 12/17. Austin, 2,000 apparently, and then Orange had a 1,200 before as well. Jacksonville either had one or is having one for $1,000. Nome, Alaska, one as well. And also pending Escambia County in Florida, Fort Worth in Texas, Gadsden County, and then also pending New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, and Delaware. All really exciting. Then there's certain cities and counties that are doing stimulus all across the board. This is rent stimulus. So where is this rent stimulus coming in and where is it going out? Rent stimulus is being offered in the county of San Diego, the city of Nashville, the city of Harrisburg, the city of Atlanta, the counties of DeKalb and the counties of Gwinnett. There's also relief being provided in New York City for some. Utilities are being offered across the board. This is all really exciting news. So utility stimulus is being offered in all the major cities across the board. Meantime, what's going to happen with hazard pay? What's going to happen with all those other things? And when would they really get taken care of? Mitch McConnell, before going into negotiations today, said that he now said words which were sort of shocking because he's never said these words before. He said, this is a stimulus bill for just now. This is not the only stimulus bill, and we're going to be doing one right away in January. This was also really great news today because Mitch McConnell just a few weeks ago said, you're getting one last stimulus bill and that's it. The last one's coming up and you're not going to get another one. We always said, wait a second, what are you talking about? There's going to be a third stimulus package, and the third stimulus package is going to be the big one. Now today, he suddenly admitted that the third stimulus package is the big whopper. So why is the second stimulus package, which is the CR, which is the continuing budget bill, why is this one suddenly ballooning so quickly when there's another one just a few weeks away? It's not quite clear. And that ultimately may be the reason why this may implode, these negotiations. The problem is that certain things are lapsing and certain things are not lapsing. Not lapsing state or local, not lapsing liability insurance, not lapsing FPUC. It lapsed in July. You don't need to fix FPUC this week and fix it in January the correct way. What is lapsing is PUA. What is lapsing is UI. And what the proposals intend to do is give you PUA and UI back on to when you went inactive sometime in the month of December and then carry you forward. They were originally going to carry you forward for a month. Now they're going to carry you forward for 4 months, a little bit longer than initially anticipated. Nothing particularly wrong about that, but certainly a little bit more robust than anyone had heard of just a few days earlier. Then the question is, what's going to happen across the board with the other items? The other items that have been very contentious may ultimately cause the demise. It's important to understand that there's several areas of major contentions right now that are coming from different fractions. Josh and Bernie for the stimulus check with AOC and Elizabeth Warren. Mitch with the liability insurance. Chuck with the state and the local. Ultimately, certain things can be put off or hold, but not a stimulus check. There is no one in the negotiation room of the four corners today that has authored something in favor of stimulus check in recent days, but have done it before. So the question is, why would they oppose Josh and Bernie? To make it even easier, during the last few days, the problem creators started to make concessions in a way that would mitigate any type of concern for Mitch McConnell, but have done nothing for what the concerns are for Mitch and Bernie and Josh. With that, the checkmate is ready. The checkmate is ready, so bring on whatever junk you're going to bring from the House, because the checkmate is ready to block it when it lands in the Senate. Coming up right after this video is Purple, and in that video I'm going to go over more about the state stimulus check, and the rent stimulus being paid across the board. It's all really exciting, so stay tuned for that. And then after that is Vina Mitch, in which I go live about the PUA, UI, FPUC confusion that's really heating up today. It's like nothing anyone saw. It's hitting like a Mack truck. So stay tuned for that. Meantime, if you have questions or comments in today's video, drop them in the comments below. I might feature them in tomorrow's recording. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay that life for more.